pretending to work.
Yes, Brett is apparently in the office.
And Tim, here's some Santa Clara Valley synergy for you. Laura in the chat, do you pour wine at Kiergan? Is that right?
It'll take a minute for it
It's
to
on
get
a
to
delay.
her. Yeah.
She's in the kitchen getting her glass of wine.
Kitchen?
Okay, she's reaching under her desk and getting a glass of wine.
Yes.
Yes.
She said yes, that is correct.
See, I know my...
I don't know if I've met Laura. That's just around the corner from me. That's very close.
You know what's weird? So in my day job, I teach high school. And hi, kids who Googled Mr. Solomon. In my day job, I teach high school, but I swear to you, like during the school year, like I don't even get out of my classroom. So like there are some times where there will be teachers that, you know, they teach on the other side of school. And I might give them a wave that I've never talked to them before in my entire life.
It's the same thing for the kids, though, too.
Yeah.
I remember like seeing all these teachers. I never had their class. I never went up and introduced myself.
Yeah.
I want to talk to a teacher.
I'm trying to remain anonymous here.
Yeah.
Almost
Solomon,
2,500 other people.
Solomon, I do have to say the man bun is looking mighty tight tonight. That's looking.
Oh yeah.
You got it locked in.
It's actually, I got a lot of like fly outs, but I tuck them behind my ear. They're actually inside of my headphones. Like,
is that why your eyebrows are so high up on your forehead?
That's the Botox, sir. That's the migraines. Yeah.
Laura's been at Kiergan for almost 3 years.
There you go.
Rhett and JVB are here, so.
Oh, we're in for a crazy night. Already
the chat is going to be dynamic tonight. All right, let's see. I think we've got all the stuff. Jeff actually has me an intro. You guys all set?
Yeah.
All right. Let's do this. Here we go. Starting almost on time.
On time?
I know, right?
Hey, Cody.
At the sound of the tone, the official "We Like Drinking" time will be 5 o'clock. Commence consumption.
This week on episode 329 of the We Like Drinking podcast, we'll be discussing garlic, circus trees, and we're diving into some legit Gilroyan wines with Tim Slater of Sarah's Vineyard. So crack open that beer, uncork that wine, and let's get drinking.
You know, I hate those instances where I see and by the way, this is a visual joke. This is for everybody watching live, as you ought to do every Tuesday night around 7:30ish Pacific at welikedrinking.com/show. Visual joke. Jeff has this wonderful video intro, and I see myself and I go, God darn it, I'm wearing the same shirt as I was in the video intro. Oh man. Can I go change?
No, you cannot.
Okay. All right.
I mean, you have the towel over the shoulder, so, you know, it looks different.
That's new. This is like a brooch right here. Hey, everybody in the chat. Our chat is loaded right now. Hit the like and subscribe button.
And while you're doing that, I'll say cheers, my podcast drinking friends, and welcome Happy Hour 329 of your favorite award-winning topical beer and wine education podcast, focusing on fun. Focusing on fun. We like to have it, so make sure you never miss another episode of our brand of drinking fun by visiting welikedrinking.com/subscribe.
Subscribe.
So we have a lot here. Yeah, something like that. We have a lot to do, and I am really excited to get into some of these wines. So let's find out who we're drinking with and what is in their glass. We're joined by our usual panel members. We have our California Sustainable Wine Growing Ambassador and recovering wine blogger, Jeff Solomon.
Hey, shalom, everyone.
Our commercial brewer and snake wrangler, John Ruyek.
Yeah, I'll be doing that in the Grand Canyon this weekend.
And I am your host and certified specialist of wine, Jeff Eccles. You're going to be brewing in the Grand Canyon?
No, I'll be snake wrangling. We got a permit to do a rattlesnake survey in the Grand Canyon this weekend.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Now, our guest this week joins us from the same city as our very own Jeff Solomon. Not currently, but that's where he works. Gilroy, California. Sarah's Vineyard sits on 18 acres in the Mount Madonna district of the southern Santa Cruz Mountains. The cool climate region sets up a perfect environment to specialize in Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, and a host of Rhone varietals. Please help us welcome owner, winemaker, and vineyard manager Tim Slater. Welcome to the show, Tim.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You're very kind.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to join us on this insanity that we like to call a podcast, and for sending us out these amazing wines that I'm so looking forward to getting into.
Yeah, I was at the brewery and UPS shows up, and I know the UPS guy. He's like, "Dude, what's in here?" It's like, "I'm not sure." And I open it up. I'm like, 6 bottles. And everybody's like, "Well, when do we get some of that?" I said, "Yeah, do a podcast for 5 years straight."
I had one of those moves where I opened it up. I'm like, that's a lot of box for just 3 bottles. And the bottles are like really heavy. And then it was like later, it was like an open the secret flap. And I was like,
There's another layer. There's another layer of wine. It was like this beautiful cake.
We just wanted to be generous.
Well, thank you it was very generous. Thank you very much.
Very
Tim, we're stoked.
And you could tell everybody is quite excited.
People in the chat are quoting Airplane right now. I could make a brooch or a hat.
You can find Sarah's Vineyard at their website at www.sarahsvineyard.com or on Instagram at Sarah's Vineyard.
Instagram?
SARAH. What's that, John?
Instagram?
Instagram. Yes.
Yeah, say that 5 times fast, Eccles.
I can't say anything 5 times fast. It just
Focus on fun.
So let's see what everybody is drinking tonight. I'm gonna start with myself. So I have this beautiful bottle of Sarah's Vineyard Chardonnay, Estate Chardonnay. This is the 2018 vintage I'm gonna be drinking on. John, what do you have?
I have the 2018 Charbono.
Charbono, that's exciting. Tim, what do you have in your glass tonight?
Well, I've got 3 glasses. I got all 3 of them.
Fantastic.
So I'm going to finish all of it.
Oh, the perks.
Tim's
the
doing
perks
it
of
right.
being a winemaker on vacation.
And he's in elevation, man. He's up at like 8,500 feet too.
It's at elevation.
Oh, it's gonna hit you hard, man.
Yep.
And I have the 2018 Estate Pinot Noir, and I am, as they say in my area, hella stoked on this.
I bet it's going to be hella smooth, Jeff Solomon.
Yeah.
Why don't you take us out there, Garlic King Jeff Solomon?
Oh yeah. So I mean, color-wise, and I'm embarrassed. I have some water stains on my glass, so I won't get too close there. But color-wise, I mean, this is a nice. I would say it's a little bit of a more like deep-colored red Pinot Noir. Still seeing your fingers through the glass, but just slightly like darker effort there. On the nose, I'm getting these wonderful like red and purple fruits, like a little bit of strawberry, a little bit of plum, a little bit of cassis on the nose, along with this wonderful like wet topsoil, kind of a fungusy kind of nose too. The good stuff, like some good like mushrooms there. And then on the palate,
Yeah, that's good wine.
it's just,
It really is.
hashtag juicy. Hashtag tell me it's juicy. There's that wonderful, just like fruit entry that's there, this long acidity, supple tannins. This is just a wonderfully approachable and yet complex wine. This is your estate Pinot Noir. Is this? I mean, if I was at the tasting room on Hecker Pass, am I going to see these particular grapes?
We've got about 16 acres, 17 acres of Pinot Noir, and they're scattered all over the place. But this particular block you see as you drive in on the long driveway. It'll be on the
nice
left at the top of the hill. Yeah, I got to tell you, starting 20 years ago, and in Gilroy, an area not well known for wine, and you know the constant jokes about, do you make garlic wine? Oh God!
I just want to go crazy when I hear people say that.
I'm just going to go ahead and erase that question for later on.
It's really good wine, and it's such a delight to me to taste this and say, wow, I can put this up against some Russian River Valley or some Santa Lucia Highland wines and feel proud, right? Despite the unknown nature, it's a good area. It's really a good area for growing Pinot Noir, and it's such a delight for me. I can't tell you how exciting it is. And this is really good wine.
And certainly
Isn't
I
that
just think
crazy?
about I just think about like kind of like even the little microclimates of Gilroy. You're in this like wonderful pocket where during the day, like when I'm schlepping my kids over to Gilroy Gardens, like in that area, you're just getting cooked. And then like right around like 4:30, 5 o'clock, the breeze starts shooting in. And then you just freeze your tuchus off, right?
Right. Yeah, we're close to the ocean, and you can see the big fog bank rolling over the hill. It's crazy. Yeah, you got to have a sweater every night. Even in August, it's in the mid 50s. At its worst, we get into the high 50s at night.
And you get
a really hot day.
You get some pretty high temperatures during the day, especially in the summer, don't you?
It depends. You know how the Bay Area is. When the wind shuts off, everyone suffers.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we get 3 heat waves a year. But on a typical day, if there's no heat wave, it's typically the wind starts up a little earlier because there's no high pressure zone keeping the wind out, and it just howls through there, and it scours down Hecker Pass. And as soon as it hits Santa Teresa, Jeff, you know where Santa Teresa is, then it sort of fans out and the wind drops away and the temperature goes up about 5 or 10 degrees. So there's this gradient from the top of Mount Madonna down to Santa Teresa of steadily increasing temperature. But it's not the coolest climate. Okay. I'm not bragging about how cold it is, but it's plenty cool enough for Pinot Noir.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's a good wine. It's great. It's a lot of fun there. And it's a beautiful area.
Oh yeah. And I was going to say, like, if I think a lot of folks, if they were tasting this particular Pinot Noir blind, they might think of it more like a Santa Lucia Highlands Pinot Noir. Like, to me, I kind of see in that realm, but I also know that you do an SLH Pinot Noir as well. Like, how would you describe the differences between those?
I can taste the difference, even blind. I don't have a great tongue or a great nose, but the Santa Lucia Highlands tends to have this blackberry note that's very pure. It always comes out. It doesn't matter what vineyard it comes from. You can tell that it's Santa Lucia Highlands. And we have bad years. If a year is too hot at Sarah's Vineyard, you can tell. It's a bigger wine, and it's kind of losing that Pinot Noir essence. So our best years are the cold years when everyone else suffers and they can't get their fruit ripe. Well, I think we're not on the cusp, but we're close to the cusp of being able to grow great Pinot Noir. So we, not like Burgundy where they're on the cold cusp, and one cold year and it's not a very good vintage. We're on the warm cusp, and if it's a hot year, it's not as great. So we tend to be riper. It tends to be more red fruit, and it goes from dark red fruit to bright red fruit to overripe red fruit on a bad year. But fortunately, bad years seem to be getting less frequent, and who knows why?
Yeah,
Seems to be getting windier.
it seems like we've gotten in this nice little niche right there, right?
I don't know. if
Here
you
we are
remember
talking about, how are things
Because-
over on Sunrise, and how are things over at Ren? Right, we're just talking about local stuff over here.
that. I'm remembering the 2011 vintage was a terrible vintage for the whole state for Pinot Noir because it was so cold. And it was a great year for us. Yeah, just the fruit was excellent. We have very little disease pressure in our area. And we don't have to worry about things like mold and fungus. We don't have to spray a lot of chemicals. It's just
Nice.
it's a really nice little pocket out of just kind of hidden in the.
Is that because of the breezes? Is that because of the breezes that it carries away like surface moisture from
I
the
think
grapes
it's
itself that
that. I
doesn't
mean,
let fungus attach?
we get a lot of ocean influence, but by the time it gets to us, it's not wet. If in 5 miles, I'm on the top of Mount Madonna, and you can see the ocean there at the over Watsonville and what's that other one, Capitola. But up there, your windshield is fogging up, and you have to use the windshield wipers in the middle of the summer, like on a summer morning. By the time it gets down to us, the humidity has dropped enough that it's just not. It's not encouraging the growth of mildew or mold or botrytis. Anyway, getting too technical.
Lot of good airflow over there. You
A lot of
got it,
airflow. Yeah.
And I love that after 20 years of doing this, you still get giddy tasting your wines. That's a great thing to see and hear.
Yeah. Admittedly, the first 8 years were pretty rocky as I transitioned from being an engineer in Silicon Valley and working on these sort of submicron components to a farm where everything's out of control.
A little bit of a difference.
It was tough. It was a tough adjustment.
All right, Ruyak.
So I appreciate Tim loving his own product because, at the brewery, everybody's like, well, I never see you drinking or you never talk about drinking anybody else's beer. I'm like, I like the beer I drink and I drink it for free. So I have the Charbono, and I believe this is only the second Charbono I've ever had. And I kind of did things opposite today. Sharon and I made stuffed baked potatoes last night. Tonight we had leftovers. So I popped open the bottle and we shared a glass during dinner. And the potatoes were stuffed with black beans, corn, salsa, and cheese. So it was a little spicy. So what happened was that the big fruit came through on the wine while we were eating dinner. And we split a glass, and then I just let it sit. I drank a glass of water, and then I'm just drinking the wine clean now. And so, on the nose, it's really, really fruity. Just dark. Geez, oh whiz. That nice garnet ring around the edge and everything like that. And I get just that big fruit and a little bit of graphite in the nose for me. And then drinking it since, and I've been, this is not my first time, obviously, but just that dark fruit, kind of blackberry-ish to me. The acidity is nice. The tannins are just perfect for that because there's this tightness that kind of concentrates everything on your tongue, but it's not drying you out. And then the acidity is just really pretty long lasting for me. It's like numbers.
You are killing me, John. That's exactly what I want to hear. Somebody say.
Yeah, and again, for Charbono, I don't know because this is only my second time drinking one, and I think the last time I had one was on this show. I just picked it up off a whim 3 or 4 years ago. So I'm not. It's don't know what to expect from it, but it's good.
It really is. It's a good wine. You're right.
People ask me what's my favorite beer. I say all of them.
Mine.
Favorite beer, mine.
All right.
Well-
So the Charbono is hashtag numbers, I think.
Yep.
Okay.
Can I add a little
It's big with
commentary?
Yeah,
it's big
Tim.
without being it's big without being cloying. It fills all the nooks and crannies in your teeth. You know what I mean? But without being overbearing. It's just like there's like so many things going on,
Yeah, Tim, lay down some more for us on this.
So Charbono is a pretty rare grape. There was a guy just down the street from me at the corner of Hecker Pass and Santa Teresa. It's about 2 miles away, and he had some Charbono. So for a couple of years we were making it, and I kind of fell in love with it. And then that vineyard got bought and turned into houses. I didn't have a vineyard anymore, so I had to plant some. And now we've got our own. And this is the first vintage that's got, I think it's 50% our own. And then we filled it out with some Paso Robles. Yeah, we brought some in for Paso Robles to finish it so that we could make enough for the wine club. It's only 200 cases that we make of this. But the thing about Charbono that's really fun is it's like India ink when you're fermenting it, and you don't want to get it on your hands because it literally it gets right in every little crevice, and it's black and it doesn't wash off, and it's there for days, and you're scrubbing and scrubbing, and it delineates your fingerprints and every little wrinkle in your hands. It's the most amazing stuff. And in the first 3 days of fermentation, it gives off this smell of wild blackberries.
Ooh.
And I was so excited for John to say that it did vaguely blackberry-ish, because in the first few days of the fermentation, it's crazy. It smells like blackberry jam. And it's just, it's this, we're making it in a style similar to a Pinot Noir. It's got a lot of acidity, and it's not a big opulent wine like a Bordeaux, but it's a grape that blends well with Bordeaux's. And I think of it as like the poor hick cousin of Bordeaux's, like up in the hills somewhere, like, hey boys,
Here comes that Charbono again.
the one-headed stepchild of Bordeaux.
That's all. And so 200 cases, is that available for purchase, or is that wine club only, or?
No, it's we have it. It's
Okay.
available. I mean, it doesn't last long. It sells
Yeah.
out after we release it within 3-4 months usually. But boy, it's just a fun grape. And I know I shouldn't be talking about some other winery, but Robert Foley Winery makes a lot of Charbono, and it's wonderful, and you can find it in restaurants.
Okay.
And if you've never had a Charbono and you see Robert Foley Charbono, that's a restaurant that cares a little bit and they want to have something odd on the menu. Try it, because it's a great grape. It's underappreciated.
Or
this is going to sound weird, but I'm watching the wine in the glass as I'm drinking it, and the color's just nuts.
It's crazy dark.
Yeah, it's just nuts.
Hey, John, there's actually a guy in the chat right now. His name is Mike R. Antis. He wants you to get really close to the camera and smile real big.
What, he wants to see the coffee stains on my teeth?
Hey, I like your Charbono teeth, bro.
all right, and so I'm excited about this Chardonnay. The Chardonnay. You always open a bottle of Chardonnay, and you're like, all right, what's gonna happen? How much oak am I gonna get on this? And you take that first sniff, and you're like, okay, is there a lot of wood or not? And I'm happy to say on this one, there's not a lot of wood on the aromas. It's a lot of that green apple. It's a lot of that pear. It's a lot of that bright fruit coming through. There's something else that I'm not quite able to pick out though. That's in there. It's almost it's almost like I don't want to say metallic, but it's in that kind of realm of something. I can't quite put my finger on what it is though. And on the palate, does this sees a little bit of oak? Yes, Tim. I don't think it's new. I think it's more used oak, if you
Sounds
will.
attractive.
So what kind of oak does this see?
20 to 25% new oak. It's all French oak, and we're trying to cut back on the oak because I like a leaner Chardonnay.
And
my idol in this is Kistler out of Sonoma. That guy is the master of Chardonnay, and if I'm in a restaurant and they've got Kistler, that's what I buy.
And this has got some great components on it. One of the things I like about, these high acidity, lean Chardonnays or any white wine is just how it just hangs out in your mouth for like minutes on minute. You're just, it's not that you're tasting it, but you're feeling it. You're still feeling that liveliness on your palate. And I get that with a lot. This one, I get those green apples notes. I get so much brightness in this. It's so clean. It's really good. Chardonnay. I really like this Chardonnay.
Yeah.
Really? Do you? Really? That's great. I'm so happy to hear that because I like it. I like it a lot.
You know what I was thinking about when I grew up in the general area, meaning like I grew up in Santa Cruz Mountains, like Ben Lomond, like Santa Cruz Mountains. Lived in San Jose for about 10 years. And I remember when my wife and I moved down to Morgan Hill, and we were just starting to explore like the greater Santa Clara Valley and all the great wineries that were there. And like back when I could pull out one of those maps and I could tell you, I've been to every single one of these multiple times. I know exactly what's on every single list. And one of the reasons why I would keep going back to Sarah's Vineyards is well, quite frankly, about 10, 15 years ago, there were, even though I went to some of the other ones because maybe some of them had free tastings, so at least I could get drunk or something like that. But quite frankly, I would find myself driving back towards a Sarah's Vineyard because of that more reserved style. We're not making garlic wine up here on Hecker Pass. I'm sure you've never poured an almond champagne in your life.
I have not, regrettably.
And yet, I think that's really the bread and butter of the Santa Clara Valley. Oddly enough, we're not really talking about Rhone varieties here. I know you love to do Rhone varieties, but like there really is like this reserved nature that comes to a lot of your wines. It doesn't surprise me when I see Eccles kind of skittish going into a Chardonnay, and then me sitting here confidently knowing he's gonna like it because it's not a punch in the mouth. It is a chef's kiss.
Yeah, and it's just that touch of oak, just to add a little body to it, just to add a little something. But, I love it when you have a Chardonnay and just that, that apple, that apricot, those fruits just shine through, like throughout the flavor of the wine. And it really does with this Chardonnay. So great job, Tim. Really, really well done.
Again, you have excellent taste.
All right. So we've gotten through the tasting portion of the show. Now it's time for everybody's favorite little bit that we like to call
Wine, Beer, Spirit, or pop culture reference. This is where I am going to give the squad a term, and they have to tell us, is this a wine term, a beer term, a spirit term, or some sort of pop culture reference? The term this week is Bonarda. Is Bonarda a wine, a beer, a spirit, or a pop culture reference? John Bruyak.
Oh, Garlic King. Can you spell that for us, please?
I sure can. Bonarda. Bonarda.
Bonarda. Just because it's I had to get something for brewery. I went to Home Depot and there was some dude walking out. He looked exactly like the Tiger King. He had on the same kind of shirts with the lightning bolts on it, that cowboy hat, and he had long hair and a mustache. I'm like, dude, aren't you in jail? Anyway, that has nothing to do with Bonarda. Bonarda. I'm going to think Bonarda is a pop culture reference, and it's Carol Baskin's nickname from high school.
Well, that Bonarda really has it coming to her. Now, Tim Slater of Sarah's Vineyards.
No, do me last. I know this.
Jeff Eccles, not of Sarah's Vineyards.
Tim, do you know it?
I know it. I'm going to nail it.
Jeff Eccles.
No. Let Tim go ahead because I know it as well. So Tim could go ahead.
Tim Slater of Sarah's Vineyards in Gilroy, California. What is Bonarda?
I'm going to go back again to my favorite little cult grape, Charbonneau, and tell you the sad story of Charbonneau, because there's more than one of them. And it originated in the Savoie region of France, near Chambéry, up there in the mountains. I'm sure it made a terrible wine because it needs a lot of heat to ripen. And up there in the mountains, it was never getting it, next to Switzerland, for Christ's sake. So they gave it to the Italians, and the Italians couldn't do anything with it, but it had a quality that was much appreciated in early California grape growing. It's a heavy-bearing grapevine. It throws a lot of fruit. It's very fertile. So it was planted all over the state in the 1850s. It was as popular as Zinfandel. By the 1870s, the University of California was publishing a pamphlet saying, here is how you graft your Charbonneau over to something that tastes good. And they couldn't figure out how to make a good tasting grape out of it. I have a paper from a scientific paper from the 1873, I believe, saying like, well, those who wish to produce a quality wine should not plant Charbonneau. But the Argentinians got a hold of it, and they use it to blend with their Malbecs, and they call it Bonarda. What do you think of that?
What? Interesting.
What do I get? What are you? Come on.
Wow. Okay. Jeff Eccles, Tim Slater of Sarah's Vineyards in Gilroy, California, says that Bonarda is a wine grape. What do you say?
Yeah, that's quite the guess from our guest, Tim Slater.
I nailed it.
I really don't know what to add to that.
It's a lot of confidence coming from a guest. He doesn't know how I play this game.
He went a lot further than I would have, because I would have said, yeah, it's a wine out of Argentina. But he knocked it out of the park, I think, Jeff Solomon.
You know who really knocked it out of the park? JVB in the chat.
Did he? I tried not to look.
He wrote everything that Tim was also sharing, and Kara's stealing my delicious Pinot Noir. Give it back. everything that y'all were saying, that Tim said, and Jeff Eccles trendied. JVB said that Bonarda is also called Deuce Noir. And I can see why most people don't put that on the label because, well, you know.
Just call me Deuce Noir, American
Yes,
Gigolo.
you know. Excuse me, I need to go, you know, do a variation of Bonarda. So that's correct. Bonarda is a wine grape popular in Argentina. According to what I read, Bonarda is actually more closely related to the true Italian Charbono, as opposed to the Charbono planted in the Americas, the North Americas, the United States, from Savoie, France. But literally,
My God,
they all taste the same. It's like German beers. They all taste the same anyway.
You shock me. You shock me. I'm going to have to call UC Davis and look at the genetic data.
Bonarda! Is a wine term.
Annette says Tim is great. He's very excited about his wines.
He's pretty great.
You have excellent taste.
Tim says I am great. All right.
You got a text from mom mid-show.
Yep. She had to say this guy's pretty cool.
I don't know why I started thinking about this Neil Hamburger comedy routine where he goes, "Hey, you ever notice how all 7-Elevens look the same?"
You've heard of Neil Hamburger?
All right.
Neil Hamburger.
Let's get into this interview portion of the show. Tim, so we are tasting the Charbono, we are tasting the Chardonnay, we are tasting the Pinot Noir tonight. We're recording this in early May of 2021. I noticed you had some recent releases both in your tasting room and on your website. Can you tell us some of your recently released wines that our listeners may want to check out before they're sold out?
I've been COVIDing out of town for quite a bit, and I don't really know what they're doing in the tasting room.
Oh, well, we'll just cut this part out.
I'm gonna throw in. I think we just released our first Albarino, and I have to tell you, it's a hit with the wife. Because I brought a case up a week ago and it's all gone. And we're going through a bottle a night or more.
You go with all that fish you're pulling out of Lake Tahoe, right?
Well, there's that. But sometimes we buy the fish in the market like normal people.
What? So are you growing Albarino on your property?
That is probably the one varietal that I haven't put a couple of rows in.
Okay.
I got that out of the San Antonio Valley of Monterey County, and it's a great little vineyard, and I think we're going to do it every year. We're only making a small amount. We bring in one bin, half a ton, makes about 25 cases, and when it's gone, it's gone.
So there might be some for sale, and your wife has scuttled the rest off for herself.
I'm serious. When you've only got 25 cases, a case here and a case there, the next thing you know, it's all gone.
It's gone pretty quick. And I think you just released a rosé as well.
The rosé, I think they're holding back on the rosé.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It was bottled relatively recently, and it's not done with bottle shock yet. And bottle shock is not just a joke term. It's shocked. It's overcome. It's overwhelmed. It needs a day.
Gotcha. All right. John.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, beer needs a couple of days after being kegged. I mean, No, seriously, when you put it in a keg, I mean, you're moving through lines, and it's going into a keg, and it's foaming in the keg, and it just needs. Truthfully, I don't like it when we're out of something and I got to run one up there right away. I prefer that it just sit, and people don't realize there are tannins in hops, and you need, even though the beer's finished and it's very drinkable and it's tasty, it tastes better after it's been sitting for a couple of days in the keg. But I did. There was one thing that was disappointed about in my box, and that's the fact that we got this recipe for bacon wrapped chicken breasts in there, and I was really hoping that I was going to get a sample of the bacon wrapped chicken breast.
Right. No, that ships separately. It looks like it got delayed. You'll get it in a week or two, and God help you. Don't.
Oh, no. Okay. I'll make sure I take my anti-ptomaine pills before I eat it. So, but no, seriously. I mean, we've talked. You've talked, and you intimated about your
poisoning.
Yeah. That happens every Tuesday night. What? Anyway. So just kind of take us through the transition of being an engineer to being someone who's working with his hands out in the dirt.
Yes. Wow. It's been so long since I've done any engineering that it's hard to remember now. It's 20 years I've been a winemaker. And I do miss it. I was really good as an engineer. I don't know how good I am as a winemaker, but
you're very good.
It was, this, grad students and master's degree and blah, blah, blah. And I got my first job in a computer chip factory, and I was wearing, the funny spacesuit thing. And I was delighted when COVID came around and everybody else had to learn what it was like to wear a mask all day. That was my revenge, finally. After, 10 years of wearing that stupid mask, and I hated it. And smelling your own bad breath every morning. And oh my God. So welcome to the club, all of us. Knowing what it's like for the computer chip guy. And the engineering work was all about precision, and I mean microscopic precision. The human hair is 3 mils, 75 microns, and the dimensions of the transistors I was working on were 1/100th, 1/1000th the thickness of a human hair. That's kind of the dimensions, right? And that's a lot of precision. And then coming into a world of vines and having the local farmers tell me, well, yeah, it's close enough. It was really hard for me to get over, honestly. And understanding like, well, it might not be 85 degrees tomorrow. It might be 90 degrees, or it might be 80 degrees. It's just not easy to... Well, harvest might be September 1st and it might be September 15th. That's just not, it's not easy to get over after being programmed for 20 years of like this regimented existence. So, for me, growing grapes, I love them now. I've learned to love them. I walk every day. I take the dog for a walk. I throw the ball. And we walk through the vineyards, and now I love these critters, these crazy things. They're so wacky, but I understand their mentality now, and I know how to work with them, and I feel their pain, and I encourage it because, as we know, only a stressed vine can make excellent wine. So I like to walk through the fields and humiliate them. I say things like, "Well, I hear your brother makes more money than you." And the vines are sitting there and they're like, oh, they get all stressed out.
I just have this vision of Tim, like he has a row where he gives certain kind of insults to, and then another row that he gives another kind of insults to find, which insults really
exactly
hurt the vines the most.
Talk to your plants. He only talks to every other plant. So their neighbors are like, "What the fuck, dude?" I'm also just envisioning. I have to say this now because apparently, in the chat they're trying to one up each other with jokes. But I think the joke here is, Tim. So, what was the best year for computer chips?
You know what the problem with computer chips is? They're so thin that they break every time I put them in the dip.
They get in your teeth.
It was an El Nino year. Sorry,
Right.
they're a little plump.
A lot of ocean influence. The Pentium chips of 98 were, they needed to age 20 years, but then they were spectacular.
They were so glorious once they got that proper bird in time. I agree.
The bird in time.
So we usually start with this question, but I'm going with it for the second time. But we always like to hear the origin story, and everybody is loving Tim on the show so far. So Tim, you were Tony Stark, and then you headed out in to the Vineyard. So what is the origin story? The Vineyard has been around since 1978. You came in a little bit later. So give us the origin story of Sarah's Vineyard.
Right. And actually, that's a great question because it's actually a historical vineyard.
Oh, is it really?
This woman, historical in the sense that Sarah, her real name's Marilyn, came to Sarah's Vineyard, bought this little property in 1978. They planted the vineyard in 1979. And within a few years, they were nationally represented. She was only making 600, 1,000 cases a year. Tiny little thing. But in the 70s, in the 80s, you could do that because there weren't 10,000 wineries to compete with. But she came to an area that was not known for quality wine and wanted to make a difference. And she wanted to grow Napa Valley quality wines. And I believe it was her 1982 vintage actually ended up being served in the White House at a presidential function. I think it was Ronald Reagan's 75th birthday party. I mean, that's a stratospheric rise. She was Charlie Trotter's restaurant in Chicago carried her. I remember in 2003, I was at a business meeting in Boston. We went to a restaurant called Cleo's, and I looked at the wine list, and there was Sarah's Vineyard. It was all over the place, but only in fine dining restaurants. And she was making an absurdly expensive Chardonnay for the time. I think she was charging $45 a bottle in the late 80s.
Oh, wow.
Which is amazing. And she had a custom bottle with a cartouche emblazoned in it that had a stylized SV with little grapevines. It was very elaborate. Extraordinarily expensive bottles. Her labels were being made by a company down in LA that did, what do you call it? Currency. They would make currency for foreign nations. It was, and bonds and stock certificates back when there was such a thing as a stock certificate. The labels were horrendously expensive, but this was a luxury product, and out of this little area. But it was before the areas of California as we know them now had been sort of established. She was, talked about in the same breath as David Bruce or Chalone Winery. And these are names that aren't popular. I mean, they're not popularly known anymore. Chalone, I hope, is coming back. Calera is now very well known. But she was one of those early adopters. 79, that's a long time ago. And we're proud to have it on the label now to say since 1979, because it's a big deal in California. It's not a big deal in France. When they say since 1779 or since 1079, But for here, it's, it makes a difference to me. And I met Sarah many times. She's moved off. She's still alive. She's living up in Oregon, retired, living the good life. But she started something that was very special, and I came in, and it was really a decision for it. Do I trust this guy to carry on what I've started? And I've tried to. Now, obviously, I have my own personality. I'm not her, and I want to do something more. So I want to start a second label, maybe, where I can express my personality a little more. Get some computer chips in there or something.
Yeah, for sure.
But she's very much in the same category as Randall Graham and just other people, the kooky people in the Santa Cruz Mountains, Monterey area that haven't been recognized as much as the people of Napa, and Napa really kind of they're everybody.
So what drew you to this property when you were deciding to get out of the chip game and into the grape game?
I had this noble idea that I needed a place that was close to work. And I was working in the old Bay Networks building right next to Great America. And the idea of driving up to Mendocino or Napa on Friday night traffic was just ridiculous. So I went south.
Yeah. Makes total sense.
Timing.
I could totally see that.
Timing.
There's at least one Steve Martin fan on the show. I can appreciate that. I have the gift that all the great comedians bring. It's called timing.
Timing.
John.
What?
Yeah, we're asking you to follow that up.
Really? I can't.
No, but
right
seriously, it was a long drive through, 2 hours of traffic to try. The idea was to have a weekend getaway and a hobby winery. And wineries are never a hobby.
No, they're not.
You're either all in 24/7 or you're not.
How long did it take you to come to that realization that,
I
what have I done?
Many times to hire people that would just run it for me. It never works. And 2008, I gave up. And that's it. This is my career. And I don't regret it.
Good choice. Yeah, you made the right
It's
choice.
a nice choice.
I like being a farmer. I think 3 years ago, I bought my midlife crisis tractor. And this tractor, you have never seen a tractor as glamorous as my midlife crisis.
0 to 5 miles an hour in 10 minutes.
Oh my God. It's a half track. It's got treads on the back. It has a cabin.
Yes.
There's air conditioning.
Yes.
There's windshield wipers.
What?
Oh my God. And it's a narrow tractor.
Oh yeah. Got to get between the vines.
I got a midlife crisis sprayer. It sprays
over
2 rows at a time. It's got those arms that go over, and it sprays from this side and this side.
Oh.
So how's your drone game then?
We had a guy visit with a drone about a year ago, and he kind of flew around. He made a beautiful little demo video. I'm not big on the marketing thing, so I don't know what happened to it. I guess we could put it on the website or something.
Someone shot it down.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I'm not a drone driver. I like.
You're a tractor driver,
I like
dude.
big equipment.
Does on your midlife crisis tractor, does the door open up?
Oh my God!
Gullwing
I never thought of
tractor.
that. I never thought of that. That's a great idea. No, it opens on both sides.
Oh, there you go.
They're normal doors. I'm going to call Elon Musk, and we'll get that sorted.
If you take it to 80, you can go back to 1978.
I actually, honestly,
88.
I took the thing out on Hecker Pass, and I ran down the road to Solis, and I tore into his vineyard. It'll get up to about 30 miles an hour.
Flying.
Top gears, it's got like 16 gears.
The
Forward and
punchline
reverse.
is
I mean, both directions.
the punchline is
30 miles an hour.
I decided to take it over to Solis, and 20 minutes later, I was there. Guys, it's right across the street. That's why that's funny.
But I ran over there, and I found Mike Foddy, the brother that runs the vineyard. I'm like, hey, what do you think? He got his camera out, and he took some pictures.
He's out shopping for one now.
That's high praise.
You got tractor
All
envy
right.
going on across the street.
All right. One more question each. Jeff Solomon.
Okay, so the world revolves around me inside my brain. When I moved down to Morgan Hill and eventually to Gilroy, I remember specifically making multiple drives, like literally as I was moving from Morgan Hill to Gilroy, making multiple drives along Santa Teresa, sometimes going up Watsonville Road, coming down Day, wrapping around into my little neighborhood, probably where a Charbono vineyard used to be.
There is some old Charbono around there.
And I had this vision that I'm like, one of these days, because like Santa Clara County it's an old wine growing region. There are some wineries that aren't so good that play on the fact that they've been around a long time around here, but there's also a lot of really good wineries down here. But I remember like thinking about like at the time that it's like, there's a handful of good wineries. And then over the course of, and I like to feel like it revolves around me, over the course of my time living in the area, I feel like there has been this nice little, I won't say explosion, but a burst of several more wineries popping up in the area. I know that COVID is kind of taken its toll, but so like there has been like some scaling back, some wineries that closed, never opened up. I'm just wondering, do you have this vision of the future of Santa Clara County kind of becoming like, I hate even comparing things to Napa, but like becoming more of like having that like Paso Robles type of lore to it?
Okay, I do, and that's what everyone around the Morgan Hill Gilroy area wants. The difficulty is Silicon Valley prices are so high for land that it's almost impossible to go and buy land just to be a farmer and grow grapes. It is possible though, if we can start getting more people to come down from San Jose and, from Mountain View down to San Jose, Los Gatos, etc. If we can get them to come south instead of going north to Napa, everything works. And yes, we think of it as a renaissance because, when I started in 2001, there were, I don't know, maybe 8 wineries. Now there's 35. Maybe a couple of them have given up for good, but a couple of them gave up for good because, they were retiring anyway. There's still more than 30 wineries in the area. And many of them are young people that are dedicated to making excellent wine. They're not there to just make wine and sell it and make a living. Their passion. Oh God, I hate the word passion. I'm sorry I said that. Let me back it up.
I can bleep it out.
Is this like an NFT pitch? Is that what this is right now?
What they want to do is make good wine. Right? And they don't want to just make some wine and sell it. They want to make good wine, but they do have to sell it. And it's all about increasing the size of the market. And that's what we want to do. And I think of, as far as that the burst of activity, I think of 2009, where suddenly all of the wineries changed their attitude and became more committed to making a better quality product. And it's marvelous. Everybody wants to make good wine now. It's not just the new gal that showed up in a Porsche from San Francisco and like, oh, I'm going to make something. I want to get my name in the papers or blah, blah, blah. It's everybody. It's an area that's committed to trying to be excellent. And yeah, we've all made mistakes. My God, I have my share of stinkers that I'm embarrassed that I ever offered for sale. But well, it was before that I trained my nose and tongue. And I vowed ever since then to never release a wine that's not going to be excellent. And I can tell you, I started wine tasting back in '85, I think. Yeah, I'm an old guy, by the way. I don't know if you guys realize this. I'm almost 60. I'm ancient. I finished college. I mean, my bachelor's degree, that was the best 8 years of my life. I finished it at UC Santa Barbara back in, I don't even remember.
Back in my day.
88, I finally got my first job, but I went wine tasting. I remember back in '86, and there were plenty of bad wineries in Napa, right along the main drag. Crappy, nasty, stinky rosés. It was back when you'd swirl your glass like, oh, it's a little whiffy, but it blows off. And nobody asked about alcohol. The first thing anybody said when you were wine tasting was like, what's the residual sugar on this? Because it was usually like 3%. When you wine in the 70s and the 80s, it wasn't nearly as good as it is now.
No.
And now it has to be perfect for it to be commercially acceptable. It can't have a little haze in it. It can't have some, remember, wine diamonds? Come on. It has to be shelf stable. It has to be a product that consumers can buy. It has to be for professional, even for small wineries. That's difficult when you just decide like, hey, I'm going to be a winemaker. And then all of a sudden you find out, wow, it turns cloudy if I don't use some clay to get the proteins out before you bottle it. These are things that all the wineries in France have been doing for centuries. They know that. I mean, for God's sakes, they used to use ox's blood. Oh, what a great idea.
Right?
I love the idea. We're not allowed to do that.
Oh.
We're not allowed to use raw blood anymore in wine. But, talk about putting some meaty flavor.
Yeah.
In your Bordeaux. Oh,
come on,
can
California.
you imagine, cowboy?
Right?
I just envisioned this one
ribeye?
frail ox. He's like, again,
This
guys.
one had a little too much ox blood in it. Anyway, it's an exciting time. COVID threw a monkey wrench in it, but it's a region as a whole that is struggling to get some attention. Thank you guys so much for talking to me, because it's not just me. There's 30 other wineries that would love to talk to you and get a little attention, because a lot of them are making wines that are so noteworthy. It's a great area for the microclimatic influences. There's lots of different little growing areas, depending on, like there's a big mountain here, and there's a little mountain. I'm trying to get this on my screen there, a little mountain there, and there's a mountain pass, so you get a lot of cold ocean, but 2 miles up, it's 10 degrees hotter. The climate changes drastically, and I know this because I drive around and I'm watching the little temperature sensor on my car.
On your tractor.
On the tractor. Oh my God, the air conditioner is always on full. I wear a coat in the tractor, and I have the air conditioner on full.
What's the elevation of your vineyard?
Sarah's Vineyard is 300 feet average.
Okay.
We just bought the parcel next door, and I'll tell you, there's no farmer in the world.
Is it like you bought Basson, or is it
No, God, I wish I had Basson's ranch. What a great ranch.
you bought the flower shop?
It's on the other side. It's a parcel that has been horses for the last 30 years. Couple of horses put out to pasture, and they keep replacing them, these old horses that have been put out to pasture. And they finally put it up for sale, and I jumped on it because
You're not going to have to fertilize that.
I was going to say
have to fertilize that soil for a long time.
Unless
yeah,
you
there's
got some of
nothing
that
out there.
horse blood going to help with the haze.
Nothing out there but a bunch of grass, weeds, old junk, and horse turds. And it's been fallow for at least 40 years. And it abuts my back vineyard, and it fronts on Watsonville Road. So, wow. Another 17 acres for more Pinot.
Nice.
That's awesome.
I can grow so much Pinot.
John.
So I've talked about this before with the guys, with other guests, and when I brew, it's different for me because I can't grow the barley and I don't produce the yeast and I don't grow the hops. But when I'm working with the materials that we use to make beer, I like to dig my hands in it a little bit just to get a connection to the people that are delivering that product to me. So that so you get a connection and try to appreciate the effort that they put in to get the best stuff they get to brewers, so that we can respect their hard work in making a beer that people will want to drink. But for you, I was wondering, how long did it really take to get a connection to the land and the grapes that you're growing?
That is an excellent question, because there is a connection. And you have to be out watching the things grow and walking around among them for a couple of years. In my experience, my limited experience, I am but a humble farmer now. But I think it was somewhere about 5 years in, about 2005, 2006, I acquired 3 dogs. And so I was forced to be out there among the grapes. Before that, I just wanted to push it off. And I don't want to think about that. I don't want to worry about how the vines, that's somebody else's problem. And it lured me in. That's the thing about wineries and grapevines. They suck you in.
And this is I'm not trying to be weird or zen or anything like this, but do you find yourself trying to think like a vine or think like a grape?
I understand them perfectly now. I can identify. I grow, I think, 14 varietals. My wife has forbidden me from planting any new varietals. No, I'm serious. And
I've got a varietal problem.
God help me if she ever sees this, because last year I grafted over some Pinot to Nebbiolo, because I really want to make some Barolo style wine. But if she finds out, she's gonna kill me. So that's like.
If she finds out,
that's the big secret. It's just a few rows. It's just enough to make 30, 60 cases. Well, I'm going to craft a little more this year, because I love the vines. But I can tell every single varietal by their leaf.
Yeah.
And not because I went to some class or looked it up, just by practice, because I'm out there throwing the ball for the dogs. And I mean, by this time, I've regrettably, dogs come and go, and they just don't last long enough. And so now there's only one dog, and it's a new dog. I've only had him 3 years, but we're out there every day.
Everybody on this panel knows I love Nebbiolo.
Yeah, I mean, it's a sad thing, and it breaks my heart, but I love dogs so much.
Yeah. Me too.
I truly, and they're the best companions. And I love throwing the ball for them and walking them in the vineyard. And they chase the rabbits, and I learned the vineyard. And now I know their little ways, the vines. I know everything about them. These scraggly little vines.
The chat is blowing up with people talking about Nebbiolo at this point.
Oh no!
Everybody's excited. So here's the thing, Tim.
Say nothing.
If the wife happens to find out that you've planted some Nebbiolo, you can plant some Albarino.
She will literally, not figuratively, she will literally kill me. She'll figuratively kill me. Because she needs my help with the baby. But she will figuratively kill me. I would love to have some Albarino. Oh my God. I want Albarino and Sauvignon Blanc. The guy across the street planted some Sauvignon Blanc. I'm so jealous. There's no farmer that is more jealous of a property than the property next door.
The grass is always, the grapes are always greener.
Whatever, the fence is right there and you're looking over the fence. Oh my God, that looks really good. Oh, I want that property.
I just have to say, if you're listening to this podcast, you just hit stop now and just go to our YouTube channel, because you really need to watch the visuals that have been just cut loose in this episode between Tim facial expressions, John licking his glass, and Solomon has released.
Let his hair down.
This is called the Edward Scissorhands right here.
My God, the hair bun. It's all around.
Also, I think you've sold about 3 cases in the chat of the Nebbiolo already.
Yeah.
So just let you know.
Oh, okay. And Tim, I just need to tell you, because I feel like I need to air this to the world, and I think you're the only one who can truly appreciate this. Your neighbor across the street. I think you're talking about Solis.
Oh yeah.
So
good guys.
One day, great guys.
Great.
One day, my wife and I were out there.
One of them's not so great. The other one's really great.
One day, my wife and out there wine tasting, and it must have been like, late December, early January, and we're walking out to our car. And we see that they had just pruned a block of their vineyard. And I see all these cuttings just laying on the ground. And I just picked a bunch up and I brought them back home. And I currently have some Solis Sangiovese planted in my backyard. And what I was thinking was, don't tell them, but what I was thinking was, I will keep your Nebbiolo secret if I can get a cutting next year.
Sure, no problem.
All right.
Cool. I am really curious. So did you just stick it in the ground?
I straight up stuck it in the ground. I stuck 2 in the ground, and
you just stuck it
both
in
of them. Both of them took that first year, and then as the second year was coming around, like a fucking rat or something ate one of the vines.
Pardon your French. Yeah, you just jammed it in there.
It's just a weed, and it's that speaks to the climate of this area, and so I can only imagine that.
You got?
What's that?
How many kids do you have again?
3.
Wow.
I'm allowed to swear. I get tired at the end of the day.
So Tim
just stuck it in there. And they just took off. Wow.
So Tim, garlic wine. No, I'm just kidding.
So Tim, I was thinking we could start a second label. We'll buy some bulk wine. I'll shove some garlic cloves in there. What do you say?
Great idea.
Okay.
It'll sell. It's gonna sell. We'll call it pizza wine.
I mean, it'll sell.
Pizza wine.
Well, we have had people on the show that threw a pizza crust in their beer.
Yeah.
Yes, we have talked to a pizza beer guy.
Why do you guys?
Everybody, go back and listen to episode number 5.
Please don't. Please don't. Oh my goodness! Look at the time. It's. I can't see. It's almost to the point where I can't see behind Tim. It's just getting black behind him. It's getting so dark.
North Shore, South Shore, East Shore, West Shore.
Oh, North Shore, just by those casinos.
Oh, the original Cal Neva, where you can
Cal
swim from
Neva.
California to Nevada.
You could literally throw a biscuit and hit the Calaniva.
That's so great. I'm coming to visit. We'll play
There's
blackjack
probably-
where they deal the cards face up, which is obnoxious.
There's probably a tunnel somewhere on my property that Marilyn Monroe used to visit John Kennedy.
Yeah. No, I can see that. Frank Sinatra hit all his doobies in your backyard.
Last call.
Last call.
Oh my God. Somehow we've reached last call. Time to clean house and lock the doors. You know what we're doing
Sorry,
here, folks.
Tim, you should have said allegedly. That was the problem.
Allegedly.
John Ruyak, if the folks want to follow us on the social media platforms, how can they do so?
You can follow us on Twitter. That's We Like Drinking 1, the numeral 1. Instagram is We Like Drinking. And you can follow us on the tavern. You have to ask. But if you ask real nice, we'll let you in. That's WeLikeDrinking.com/tavern. That's where we hang out, we drink, we show food, we yell at each other. It's cool.
I love that Tim's already punching his camera.
I'm getting ready.
One last time, folks. Obviously, Tim has been a fantastic guest. You need to get some of this wine in your face hole. So check out on Instagram at Sarah's Vineyard and check out their website at www.sarahsvineyard.com. Order you up some of this delicious juice. If you happen to be in the Gilroy area, swing by and look for the DeLorean-shaped tractor parked out front with some spinning rims on it. And Tim out polishing it, I think is what happens. Jeff Solomon, if the folks have some thoughts on our show, where can they go to leave a review?
Well, if you have some thoughts when you're in Gilroy, just yell really loud. I'll hear you. So those of you watching live, as you ought to do every Tuesday night at 7:30-ish Pacific, you've already hit the like and subscribe button. You can't stop talking in the comment section. Those of you watching after the fact, like and subscribe and comment again. And y'all listening audio only. I know that more and more people are commuting these days. You're stuck in traffic. You're going up the 101. Waze is telling you to get off at Bailey, cut up Monterey Road, come back down like Bernal just to get over to Silicon Valley Boulevard, just to get to the Target off of Capitol Expressway. You're stuck in traffic is what I'm saying. So look down at your phone, fill up those 5 stars, and remember you're driving. You can't type original thoughts. Just keep hitting the autofill and see what shows up. Press send. Goodbye.
I was like 10 minutes ago, it went through my head. I'm like, when is Jeff Solomon going to mention the 101? It's got to come soon. And you didn't disappoint, Jeff Solomon.
It's my second favorite freeway.
If you've done all that and you're looking to do more, consider
frankly, I'm a fan of the 80s.
Consider becoming.
I'm just trying to get up to the Cal Neva.
Jeff, stop talking. We need to get through this. Tim is about to die. He's going through a coughing fit right now. We need to make sure he's okay.
It went down the wrong tube. I'm okay.
I can see the reflection of a bear's eyes behind.
The best part about it is that you get to taste it twice.
Did you put a padlock on your trash at least? Okay.
Oh
good.
yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah.
Visit WeLikeDrinking.com/pledge if for some ungodly reason you want to give us some money on a monthly basis. We'll take $1. We'll take $1. You get all kinds of cool stuff if you do it. $5 gets you voting rights. It's amazing. You can also find the show notes for this episode with all links to the stories or mentions we had at WeLikeDrinking.com/episodes. Somehow we've reached the time of the show where I get to say, okay, panel, let's take one last trip around this table and get some final thoughts before we shut off the lights. John Ruyak.
All right. So, everybody's fuse is a little short. And last week, we did the Japanese craft beer thing, and I went to Total Wines and I picked up a couple. This is after I'd done a 13-hour shift at the brewery, right? And I packed my 6-pack at Total Wines. I got 6 different Japanese beers, and I walk up to a register. There's a lady in line, and she's got a shit ton of stuff. So I see this girl walking by, and she's going past the kiosks that are kind of away from it, but her boyfriend's kind of making a line towards this one line that I want to cut into. So I cut in front of him, right? And I didn't think it was a big deal because she wasn't really coming towards a register. She's like, dude, he's like, dude, that's really rude, man. What the fuck are you doing cutting a line? I'm like, and I just looked down like you asshole. Can't you see that I've worked 13 hours? But I've got on my regalia. I've got on my head brewer shirt. I've got my logo on the back of the shirt. So I'm thinking, all right, dude. I pick up my beer. I go back to the original place that I was standing in line, and he pulls in, and his girlfriend's yelling at him and all this stuff. And I get in line, and I get through the line before him because the person that was in front of me in the other place there was something wrong with their credit card. So whatever, if he'd have gone into the same line that I was abandoned, he'd have been out the door, right? He'd have been out before me. This morning, I stopped at McDonald's for a sausage McMuffin and a hash brown. And you know what? It's a dual lane, right? So this dude is in one lane and I'm in the other. And I pull up around, right? And he's beeping at me like, dude, you cut in front. I'm like, no, dude, there's 2 lines. So he kind of sneaks in next to my truck, and I pull away a little bit, and he gets in. And wouldn't you know it, if he'd have stuck in the same line he was in, he'd have been out and through and down the road like 3 or 4 minutes before me. But you know what?
It was the same dude.
It wasn't the same dude. But you know what? I pull out and I go out and I turn left. And I go up to the light to get on the highway, and he's beeping at me. He's like, dude, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that. Oh. You know what? And I said, all right, dude, man, you have a good day. And I hope that dude had a good day because he was cool. The other asshole at Total Wines, fuck him. I hope his beer tasted like shit.
Jeff Solomon.
I don't even know where to begin with that.
Right?
What if the guy at Total Wine, he's actually an avid listener of the We Like Drinking podcast, and then he's like, that John Ruyak guy, he cut in front of me in line, and then he wished that my beer tasted stinky. I will say, I'd be remiss if I did not say that my favorite highway in all of California is Highway 152, because that is where I steal grapevines from.
Cody, you obviously have no idea how I tell stories.
Tim Slater, any final thoughts before we let you get out of here?
I grew up in Southern California, right? The LA area. And down there we say the 405 or the 5 or the 101. In Northern California, you say, I took 5, I took 405, I took 101. So Jeff talks like a Southern California guy that moved up to Northern California.
I grew up in Santa Cruz, man. Like that's the thing. It's the confluence of cowboys and hippies and skateboards all together.
You're talking wrong for Northern California.
Hella, hyphy, the Bay, the city. I'm trying. Sorry, Tim.
Tim Slater, Sarah's Vineyard. Thank you so much for coming on and joining us on the show. This was an absolute blast having you on the show. These are some fantastic wines that you're producing. It was an honor to share an hour and almost 30 minutes with you, with these fools and our viewers. So thank you so much for taking time out of your busy vacation to join us.
You have excellent taste.
And every winery in New Mexico that I go by, I'm going to be looking at their tractors.
And with that, I'll say thanks again for joining us at the We Like Drinking podcast, where you'll never drink alone. This epitomizes the night. Lori says, night all. I'm too tired from John's story. God damn it, John.
Was there a cow, John?
Literally, I watched us almost lose half our listeners while John was telling his fucking story.
Really? After Solomon's beef thing last week, we're losing listeners?
Hey, man, I
viewers.
look. The difference is I promised them a bill of goods. I just never came through. I said, this is going to be great. And they kept listening.
Yeah. Half our viewers went away during John's story. I'm just saying.
We only had to. Don't.
Yeah. Viewers, y'all, it was awesome having you tonight. If you can, sarahsvineyard.com. John, Detonatoroid was waiting for John to tell a snake story. I'm just letting you know. Viewers, we will see you next week. We have a fun show lined up next week. I don't remember what it is.
This is going to be fun, though.
Cody says he's still here, John, regrettably. But so we will talk to you viewers next week. Love you guys.
Bye, viewers.